Chapters 21 through 29 of the Book of Jeremiah from the World English Bible. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Jeremiah from the World English Bible, chapters 21 through 29. Chapter 21. The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, when King Zedekiah sent to him Pashur the son of Malchijah, and Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, saying, Please inquire of Yahweh for us, for Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon makes war against us. Peradventure Yahweh will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us. Then said Jeremiah to them, You shall tell Zedekiah, Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, with which you fight against the king of Babylon, and against the Chaldeans who besiege you without the walls, and I will gather them into the midst of this city. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, even in anger, and in wrath, and in great indignation. I will strike the inhabitants of this city, both man and animal. They shall die of a great pestilence. Afterward, says Yahweh, I will deliver Zedekiah king of Judah, and his servants, and the people, even such as are left in this city from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life. And he shall strike them with the edge of the sword. He shall not spare them, neither have pity, nor have mercy. To this people you shall say, Thus says Yahweh, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He who remains in this city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he who goes out, and passes over to the Chaldeans who besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be to him for a prey. For I have set my face on this city for evil and not for good, says Yahweh. It shall be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. Touching the house of the king of Judah, hear you the word of Yahweh. House of David, thus says Yahweh, Execute justice in the morning, and deliver him who is robbed out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my wrath go forth like fire, and burn so that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. Behold, I am against you, O inhabitant of the valley, and of the rock of the plain, says Yahweh. You that say, Who shall come down against us, or who shall enter into our habitations? I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, says Yahweh. And I will kindle a fire in her forest, and it shall devour all that is around her. Chapter 22. Thus said Yahweh, Go down to the house of the king of Judah, and speak there this word. Say, Hear the word of Yahweh, king of Judah, who sits on the throne of David, you and your servants, and your people who enter in by these gates. Thus says Yahweh, Execute you justice and righteousness, and deliver him who is robbed out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong, do no violence to the foreigner, the fatherless, nor the widow. Neither shed innocent blood in this place. For if you do this thing indeed, then shall there enter by the gates of this house kings sitting on the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, he and his servants and his people. But if you will not hear these words, I swear by myself, says Yahweh, that this house shall become a desolation. For thus says Yahweh concerning the house of the king of Judah, You are Gilead to me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make you a wilderness, and cities which are not inhabited. I will prepare destroyers against you, every one with his weapons, and they shall cut down your choice cedars and cast them into the fire. Many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say every man to his neighbor, Why has Yahweh done thus to this great city? Then they shall answer, Because they forsook the covenant of Yahweh their God, and worshipped other gods, and served them. Don't you weep for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him who goes away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. For thus says Yahweh touching Shallum the son of Josiah, king of Judah, who reigned instead of Josiah his father, and who went forth out of his place: He shall not return there any more, but in the place where they have led him captive, there shall he die, and he shall see this land no more. Woe to him who builds his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by injustice; who uses his neighbor's service without wages, and doesn't give him his hire; who says, I will build me a wide house and spacious chambers, and cuts him out windows, and its ceiling with cedar, and painted with vermilion. Shall you reign because you strive to excel in cedar? Didn't your father eat and drink and do justice and righteousness? Then it was well with him. He judged the cause of the poor and needy. Then it was well. Wasn't this to know me? says Yahweh. But your eyes and your heart are not but for your covetousness, and for shedding innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence, to do it. Therefore thus says Yahweh concerning Jehoiakim the son of Josiah, king of Judah: They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, my brother, or Ah, sister. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, Lord, or Ah, his glory. He shall be buried with the burial of a donkey, drawn and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon, and cry, and lift up your voice in Bashan, and cry from Abarim, for all your lovers are destroyed. I spoke to you in your prosperity, but you said, I will not hear. This has been your manner from your youth, that you didn't obey my voice. The wind shall feed all your shepherds, and your lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then you will be ashamed and confounded for all your wickedness. Inhabitant of Lebanon, who makes your nest in the cedars, how greatly to be pitied you will be, when pangs come on you, the pain as of a woman in travail. As I live, says Yahweh, though Coniah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet of my right hand, yet would I pluck you there, and I will give you into the hand of those who seek your life, and into the hand of them of whom you are afraid, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. I will cast you out, and your mother who bore you, into another country, where you were not born, and there you will die. But to the land whereunto their soul longs to return, there shall they not return. Is this man Coniah a despised broken vessel? Is he a vessel in which none delights? Why are they cast out, he and his seed, and are cast into the land which they don't know? O earth, 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 hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, Write you this man childless, a man who shall not prosper in his days. For no more shall a man of his seed prosper, sitting on the throne of David, and ruling in Judah. Chapter 23. Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says Yahweh. Therefore thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, against the shepherds who feed my people: You have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit on you the evil of your doings, says Yahweh. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and multiply. I will set up shepherds over them, who shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall any be lacking, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I shall raise to David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as king, and deal wisely, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name by which he shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that they shall no more say, As Yahweh lives, who brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but, As Yahweh lives, who brought up and who led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries where I had driven them. They shall dwell in their own land. Concerning the prophets, My heart within me is broken, all my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine has overcome, because of Yahweh, and because of his holy words. For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearing the land mourns. The pastures of the wilderness are dried up. Their course is evil, and their might is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yes, in my house have I found their wickedness, says Yahweh. Therefore their way shall be to them as slippery places in the darkness. They shall be driven on, and fall therein. For I will bring evil on them, even the year of their visitation, says Yahweh. I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied by Baal, and caused my people Israel to err. In the prophets of Jerusalem also I have seen a horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies, and they strengthen the hands of evil doers, so that none does return from his wickedness. They are all of them become to me as Sodom, and its inhabitants as Gomorrah. Therefore thus says Yahweh of armies concerning the prophets, Behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is ungodliness gone forth into all the land. Thus says Yahweh of armies, Don't listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you. They teach you vanity. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yahweh. They say continually to those who despise me, Yahweh has said, You shall have peace, and to everyone who walks in the stubbornness of his own heart they say, No evil shall come on you. For who has stood in the counsel of Yahweh, that he should perceive and hear his word? Who has marked my word and heard it? Behold, the storm of Yahweh, even his wrath, is gone forth, yes, a whirling storm. It shall burst on the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahweh shall not return until he has executed, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall understand it perfectly. I sent not these prophets, yet they ran. I didn't speak to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, then had they caused my people to hear my words, and had turned them from their evil way, and from the evil of their doings. Am I a God at hand, says Yahweh, and not a God afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places, so that I shall not see him, says Yahweh? Don't I fill heaven and earth, says Yahweh? I have heard what the prophets have said, who prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets who prophesy lies, even the prophets of the deceit of their own heart, who think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers forgot my name for Baal? The prophet who has a dream, let him tell a dream, and he who has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the straw to the wheat, says Yahweh? Isn't my word like fire, says Yahweh, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, who steal my words every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, who use their tongues, and say, He says. Behold, I am against those who prophesy lying dreams, says Yahweh, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their vain boasting. Yet I didn't send them, nor commanded them. Neither do they profit this people at all, says Yahweh. When this people, or the prophet, or a priest, shall ask you, saying, What is the burden of Yahweh? Then you shall tell them, What burden? I will cast you off, says Yahweh. As for the prophet, and the priest, and the people, who shall say, The burden of Yahweh, I will even punish that man and his house. You shall say every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, What has Yahweh answered? And what has Yahweh spoken? You shall mention the burden of Yahweh no more, for every man's own word shall be his burden. For you have perverted the words of the living God, of Yahweh of armies our God. You shall say to the prophet, What has Yahweh answered you? And, What has Yahweh spoken? But if you say, The burden of Yahweh, Therefore thus says Yahweh, because you say this word, the burden of Yahweh, and I have sent to you, saying, You shall not say, the burden of Yahweh, therefore, behold, I will utterly forget you, and I will cast you off, and the city that I gave to you and your fathers, away from my presence. And I will bring an everlasting reproach on you, and a perpetual shame, which shall not be forgotten. Chapter 24. Yahweh showed me, and behold, 2 baskets of figs set before the temple of Yahweh, after that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Judah, with the craftsmen and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. 1 basket had very good figs, like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket had very bad figs, which could not be eaten, they were so bad. Then said Yahweh to me, What see you, Jeremiah? I said, Figs, the good figs very good, and the bad very bad, that can't be eaten, they are so bad. The word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, Like these good figs, so will I regard the captives of Judah, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of the Chaldeans, for good. For I will set my eyes on them for good, and I will bring them again to this land, and I shall build them, and not pull them down, and I will plant them, and not pluck them up. I will give them a heart to know me, that I am Yahweh, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God, for they shall return to me with their whole heart. As the bad figs, which can't be eaten, they are so bad, surely thus says Yahweh, so will I give up Zedekiah the king of Judah, and his princes, and the residue of Jerusalem, who remain in this land, and those who dwell in the land of Egypt. I will even give them up to be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth for evil, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse, in all places where I shall drive them. I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them, until they be consumed from off the land that I gave to them and to their fathers. Chapter 25. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah, in the 4th year of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah king of Judah, the same was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, which Jeremiah the prophet spoke to all the people of Judah, and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, From the 13th year of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even to this day, these 23 years, the word of Yahweh has come to me, and I have spoken to you, rising up early and speaking, but you have not listened. Yahweh has sent to you all his servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but you have not listened, nor inclined your ear to hear, saying, Return you now every one from his evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that Yahweh has given to you and to your fathers, from of old and even forevermore. And don't go after other gods to serve them or worship them, and don't provoke me to anger with the work of your hands, and I will do you no harm. Yet you have not listened to me, says Yahweh, that you may provoke me to anger with the work of your hands to your own hurt. Therefore thus says Yahweh of armies, Because you have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, says Yahweh, and I will send to Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon, my servant, and I will bring them against this land, and against its inhabitants, and against all these nations around. And I will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and a hissing, and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth, and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones, and the light of the lamp. This whole land shall be a desolation, and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. It shall happen, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon, and that nation, says Yahweh, for their iniquity, and the land of the Chaldeans, and I will make it desolate forever. I will bring on that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah has prophesied against all the nations. For many nations and great kings shall make bondservants of them, even of them. And I will recompense them according to their deeds, and according to the work of their hands. For thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, to me, Take this cup of the wine of wrath at my hand, and cause all the nations, to whom I send you, to drink it. They shall drink, and reel back and forth, and be mad, because of the sword that I will send among them. Then took I the cup at Yahweh's hand, and made all the nations to drink, to whom Yahweh had sent me, to wit, Jerusalem, and the cities of Judah, and its kings, and its princes, to make them a desolation, an astonishment, a hissing, and a curse, as it is this day. Pharaoh king of Egypt, and his servants, and his princes, and all his people, and all the mixed people, and all the kings of the land of the Uz, and all the kings of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Gaza, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyre, and all the kings of Sidon, and the kings of the isle which is beyond the sea, Dedan, and Tema, and Buz, and all who have the corners of their hair cut off, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mixed people who dwell in the wilderness, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world, which are on the surface of the earth, and the king of Sheshach shall drink after them. You shall tell them, Thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, Drink you, and be drunken, and spew, and fall, and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. It shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at your hand to drink, then you shall tell them, Thus says Yahweh of armies, You shall surely drink. For behold, I begin to work evil at the city which is called by my name, and should you be utterly unpunished? You shall not be unpunished. For I will call for a sword on all the inhabitants of the earth, says Yahweh of armies. Therefore prophesy you against them all these words, and tell them, Yahweh will roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He will mightily roar against his fold. He will give a shout, as those who tread the grapes, against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the end of the earth. For Yahweh has a controversy with the nations. He will enter into judgment with all flesh. As for the wicked, he will give them to the sword, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of armies, Behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great storm shall be raised up from the uttermost parts of the earth. The slain of Yahweh shall be in that day from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered, nor buried. They shall be dung on the surface of the ground. Wail, you shepherds, and cry, and wallow in ashes, you principal of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and of your dispersions are fully come, and you shall fall like a goodly vessel. The shepherds shall have no way to flee, nor the principal of the flock to escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds, and the wailing of the principal of the flock. For Yahweh lays waste their pasture. The peaceable folds are brought to silence because of the fierce anger of Yahweh. He has left his covert as the lion. For their land is become an astonishment because of the fierceness of the oppressing sword, and because of his fierce anger. Chapter 26. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word from Yahweh, saying, Thus says Yahweh, Stand in the court of Yahweh's house, and speak to all the cities of Judah, which come to worship in Yahweh's house, all the words that I command you to speak to them. Don't diminish a word. It may be they will listen, and turn every man from his evil way, that I may repent me of the evil which I purpose to do to them because of the evil of their doings. You shall tell them, Thus says Yahweh, If you will not listen to me, to walk in my law, which I have set before you, to listen to the words of my servants the prophets, whom I sent to you, even rising up early and sending them, but you have not listened, Then will I make this house like Shiloh, and will make this city a curse to all the nations of the earth." The priests and the prophets, and all the people, heard Jeremiah speaking these words in the house of Yahweh. It happened, when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking all that Yahweh had commanded him to speak to all the people, that the priests and the prophets and all the people laid hold on him, saying, "You shall surely die. Why have you prophesied in the name of Yahweh, saying, This house shall be like Shiloh, and this city shall be desolate, without inhabitant?" All the people were gathered to Jeremiah in the house of Yahweh. When the princes of Judah heard these things, they came up from the king's house to the house of Yahweh. They sat in the entry of the new gate of Yahweh's house. Then spoke the priests and the prophets to the princes and to all the people, saying, "This man is worthy of death, for he has prophesied against this city, as you have heard with your ears." Then spoke Jeremiah to all the princes and to all the people, saying, "Yahweh sent me to prophesy against this house and against this city all the words that you have heard. Now therefore amend your ways and your doings, and obey the voice of Yahweh your God; and Yahweh will repent him of the evil that he has pronounced against you. But as for me, behold, I am in your hand; do with me as is good and right in your eyes. Only know for certain that, if you put me to death, you will bring innocent blood on yourselves, and on this city, and on its inhabitants. For of a truth Yahweh has sent me to you to speak all these words in your ears." Then said the princes and all the people to the priests and to the prophets, "This man is not worthy of death, for he has spoken to us in the name of Yahweh our God." Then rose up certain of the elders of the land, and spoke to all the assembly of the people, saying, "Micah the Morashtite prophesied in the days of Hezekiah king of Judah, and he spoke to all the people of Judah, saying, Thus says Yahweh of armies, Zion shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the field as the high places of a forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him to death? Didn't he fear Yahweh, and entreat the favor of Yahweh, and Yahweh relented of the disaster which he pronounced against them? Thus should we commit great evil against our own souls." There was also a man who prophesied in the name of Yahweh, Uriah the son of Shemaiah of Kiriath-jearim. And he prophesied against this city and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. And when Jehoiakim the king, with all his mighty men, and all the princes, heard his words, the king sought to put him to death. But when Uriah heard it, he was afraid, and fled, and went into Egypt. And Jehoiakim the king sent men into Egypt, namely, Elnathan the son of Achbor, and certain men with him, into Egypt; and they fetched forth Uriah out of Egypt, and brought him to Jehoiakim the king, who killed him with the sword, and cast his dead body into the graves of the common people. But the hand of Ahikam the son of Shaphan was with Jeremiah, that they should not give him into the hand of the people to put him to death. Chapter 27. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Thus says Yahweh to me, Make bonds and bars, and put them on your neck, and send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the children of Ammon, and to the king of Tyre, and to the king of Sidon, by the hand of the messengers who come to Jerusalem to Zedekiah king of Judah, and give them a command to their masters, saying, Thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, You shall tell your masters, I have made the earth, the men and the animals that are on the surface of the earth, by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and I give it to whom it seems right to me. Now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon, my servant; and the animals of the field also have I given him to serve him. All the nations shall serve him, and his son's son, until the time of his own land come, and then many nations and great kings shall make him their bondservant. It shall happen, that the nation and the kingdom which shall not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, says Yahweh, with the sword, and with the famine, and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. But as for you, don't you listen to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreams, nor to your soothsayers, nor to your sorcerers, who speak to you, saying, You shall not serve the king of Babylon. For they prophesy a lie to you, to remove you far from your land, that I should drive you out, and you should perish. But the nation that shall bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him, that nation will I let remain in their own land, says Yahweh. And they shall till it, and they shall dwell therein. I spoke to Zedekiah king of Judah according to all these words, saying, Bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people, and live. Why will you die, you and your people, by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, as Yahweh has spoken concerning the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon? Don't listen to the words of the prophets who speak to you, saying, You shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie to you. For I have not sent them, says Yahweh, but they prophesy falsely in my name, that I may drive you out, and that you may perish, you and the prophets who prophesy to you. Also I spoke to the priests and to all this people, saying, Thus says Yahweh, Don't listen to the words of your prophets, who prophesy to you, saying, Behold, the vessels of Yahweh's house shall now shortly be brought again from Babylon. For they prophesy a lie to you. Don't listen to them. Serve the king of Babylon, and live. Why should this city become a desolation? But if they be prophets, and if the word of Yahweh be with them, let them now make intercession to Yahweh of armies, that the vessels which are left in the house of Yahweh, and in the house of the king of Judah, and at Jerusalem, don't go to Babylon. For thus says Yahweh of armies concerning the pillars, and concerning the sea, and concerning the bases, and concerning the residue of the vessels that are left in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon didn't take, when he carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon, and all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Yes, thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, concerning the vessels that are left in the house of Yahweh, and in the house of the king of Judah, and at Jerusalem. They shall be carried to Babylon, and there shall they be until the day that I visit them, says Yahweh. Then will I bring them up, and restore them to this place. Chapter 28. It happened the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, in the 4th year, in the 5th month, that Hananiah the son of Azur, the prophet, who was of Gibeon, spoke to me in the house of Yahweh, in the presence of the priests and of all the people, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 full years will I bring again to this place all the vessels of Yahweh's house, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took away from this place, and carried to Babylon. And I will bring again to this place Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah, who went to Babylon, says Yahweh. For I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Then the prophet Jeremiah said to the prophet Hananiah, in the presence of the priests, and in the presence of all the people who stood in the house of Yahweh, even the prophet Jeremiah said, Amen, Yahweh do so. Yahweh perform your words which you have prophesied, to bring again the vessels of Yahweh's house, and all them of the captivity, from Babylon to this place. Nevertheless hear you now this word that I speak in your ears, and in the ears of all the people. The prophets who have been before me and before you of old prophesied against many countries, and against great kingdoms, of war, and of evil, and of pestilence. The prophet who prophesies of peace, when the word of the prophet shall happen, then shall the prophet be known that Yahweh has truly sent him. Then Hananiah the prophet took the bar from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck, and broke it. Hananiah spoke in the presence of all the people, saying, Thus says Yahweh, Even so will I break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon within 2 full years from off the neck of all the nations. The prophet Jeremiah went his way. Then the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, After that Hananiah the prophet had broken the bar from off the neck of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, Go and tell Hananiah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, You have broken the bars of wood, but you have made in their place bars of iron. For thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, I have put a yoke of iron on the neck of all these nations, that they may serve Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and they shall serve him, and I have given him the animals of the field also. Then said the prophet Jeremiah to Hananiah the prophet, Hear now, Hananiah, Yahweh has not sent you, but you make this people to trust in a lie. Therefore says Yahweh, Behold, I will send you away from off the surface of the earth. This year you shall die, because you have spoken rebellion against Yahweh. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. Chapter 29. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem to the residue of the elders of the captivity, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all the people, whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon, after that Jeconiah the king, and the queen mother, and the eunuchs, and the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, and the craftsmen, and the smiths, were departed from Jerusalem, by the hand of Elasah the son of Shaphan, and Gemariah the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah king of Judah sent to Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, saying, Thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, to all the captivity, whom I have caused to be carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon, Build you houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. Take wives, and father sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, and multiply you there, and don't be diminished. Seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to be carried away captive, and pray to Yahweh for it, for in its peace you shall have peace. For thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, Don't let your prophets who are in the midst of you, and your diviners, deceive you. Neither listen you to their dreams which you cause to be dreamed. For they prophesy falsely to you in my name. I have not sent them, says Yahweh. For thus says Yahweh, After 70 years are accomplished for Babylon, I will visit you, and perform many good word toward you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, says Yahweh, thoughts of peace, and not of evil, to give you hope in your latter end. You shall call on me, and you shall go and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You shall seek me, and find me, when you shall search for me with all your heart. I will be found by you, says Yahweh, and I will turn again your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations, and from all the places where I have driven you, says Yahweh, and I will bring you again to the place from where I caused you to be carried away captive. Because you have said, Yahweh has raised us up prophets in Babylon, thus says Yahweh concerning the king who sits in the throne of David, and concerning all the people who dwell in this city, your brothers who haven't gone forth with you into captivity. Thus says Yahweh of armies, Behold, I will send on them the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, and will make them like vile figs that can't be eaten, they are so bad. I will pursue after them with the sword, with the famine, and with the pestilence, and will deliver them to be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth, to be an object of horror, and an astonishment, and a hissing, and a reproach, among all the nations where I have driven them, because they have not listened to my words, says Yahweh, with which I sent to them my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them. But you would not hear, says Yahweh. Hear you therefore the word of Yahweh, all you of the captivity, whom I have sent away from Jerusalem to Babylon. Thus says Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, concerning Ahab, the son of Kolaiah, and concerning Zedekiah, the son of Maaseiah, who prophesy a lie to you in my name. Behold, I will deliver them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and he shall kill them before your eyes. And of them shall be taken up a curse by all the captives of Judah who are in Babylon, saying, Yahweh make you like Zedekiah and like Ahab, whom the king of Babylon roasted in the fire, because they have worked folly in Israel, and have committed adultery with their neighbors' wives, and have spoken words in my name falsely, which I didn't command them. And I am he who knows, and am witness, says Yahweh. Concerning Shemaiah the Nehelamite you shall speak, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, saying, Because you have sent letters in your own name to all the people who are at Jerusalem, and to Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, and to all the priests, saying, Yahweh has made you priest in the place of Jehoiada the priest, that there may be officers in the house of Yahweh, for every man who is mad, and makes himself a prophet, that you should put him in the stocks and in shackles. Now therefore why have you not rebuked Jeremiah of Anathoth, who makes himself a prophet to you, because he has sent to us in Babylon, saying, The captivity is long, build you houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them? Zephaniah the priest read this letter in the ears of Jeremiah the prophet. Then came the word of Yahweh to Jeremiah, saying, Send to all them of the captivity, saying, Thus says Yahweh concerning Shemaiah the Nehelamite. Because Shemaiah has prophesied to you, and I didn't send him, and he has caused you to trust in a lie, therefore thus says Yahweh, Behold, I will punish Shemaiah the Nehelamite, and his seed, and he shall not have a man to dwell among his people, neither shall he see the good that I will do to my people, says Yahweh, because he has spoken rebellion against Yahweh. End of chapters 21 through 29.